G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to cover everything that went on in the last few days for the NA East DreamHack. We had Nickmercs making his competitive return. How did he do? We also had a bunch of pros going in on each other on Twitter. We even had Calc and Miro, who won the tournament, getting death threats from Ronaldo fans. But I didn't just want to talk about NA East, I wanted to focus on OCE a little bit as well. The big question everyone keeps asking me, are the twins and fresh trioing? I'm gonna let you know exactly what's going on. Before we jump into the video, guys, I'm gonna be streaming a whole bunch this weekend. I'm gonna be watching pretty much every round of OCE, NA East, and NA West Frosty Frenzy tournament. So if you wanna come watch with me, have a good time, twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. I'll see you there. If you guys have somehow missed it, Nickmercs has come back to Fortnite. He's mostly been playing Arena and he's been doing really well. I was saying he actually came back and surprised me with how good he still is. His builds and edits are a little bit dated because obviously he hasn't been playing for a new season, but Nickmercs is never not going to be an insanely good aimer and fighter. He gets in the face of opponents, his positioning and his movement is incredible, and he takes people out. But that was Arena, that was pubs. So we got to see our first taste of how Nickmercs was going to go in competitive Fortnite. He played in the NA East DreamHack with SypherPK, and in heat number 1, things didn't go the greatest. About an hour in, they were completely out of games. They went through all their 10 games. They were really struggling. I'm not gonna lie. They just couldn't really find their footing. I think Nickmercs was a little bit nervous. They just didn't really have a game plan. But with DreamHack, you don't have to only play one heat. If you qualify out of heat 1, if you come in the top 250 teams, that's awesome. You can't play heat 2. But if you don't qualify, you're more than welcome to play heat 2. And that's where things started to ramp up for these guys. Heat 2, they started to get a bit more of their footing, and they started to play really surprisingly good Fortnite. They ended up getting 341 points in their 10 matches. They had an average elims of 3 and an average placement of 19th. Now, I know that might not sound insanely impressive, but qualification was 447 for the second round. So 100 points off. I know that might sound like a ridiculous amount, but when you start getting upwards of 350-ish points, the next little difference is just playing a bit more consistently. And for Nickmercs' first tournament back in such a long time, playing with SypherPK, who obviously is a phenomenal player, but does mostly content, they did really well, and they only made a few mistakes that I think once Nickmercs gets a little bit more experience endgame, they won't make. Nickmercs just didn't have that experience endgame like he used to do. He was just panicking. He wasn't really building as well as what he normally would endgame, and he just didn't know how to follow SypherPK properly. But for their first tournament, I would have expected they did far worse than this. So I'm really excited to see. And I mean, Nickmercs expected he was going to do poorly as well anyway. He ended up saying on stream he hopes he gets destroyed because he knows if he does terribly, he'll be motivated to improve even more. So I don't know. We saw Nickmercs doing some scrims last week. I could very easily see Nick making a big push to get back into competitive Fortnite. We know he's been playing Call of Duty. He's been playing a whole bunch of tournaments, and he really gets into that competitive vibe. So he's clearly back on Fortnite, and he's clearly really enjoying it. So I'd love to see Nickmercs and SypherPK start to qualify for some of these tournaments, or even playing really seriously in these cash cups. And all I know, performance aside, his audience loved it. The Fortnite community loved it. He was chilling on over 50,000 viewers the whole day, whether they were doing terribly in round 1 or whether they were popping off in round 2. The M fam was there to support them. So as far as Fortnite goes, this is great for all of us. With any Fortnite tournament, we had the good, but of course, we're going to have the bad. We're going to have a bit of that beef and drama, whether it's bad or whether you enjoy it. We had Avery teeing off on Twitter against Ceice. He tweeted out saying, how do you go from being the best player at one point of time to the most washed player? Actually, I just figured out why. Does good in World Cup duos, then wastes all his money and goes to party and gets a girlfriend. It all makes sense now. He had to reply because, again, I didn't really know who he was talking about either. He replied saying, if you guys didn't know, I'm talking about Ceice. Now, what's all this over? Did Ceice stream snipe him? Did he grief him? No, he's just landing on him. Ceice is just trying to go Coliseum, and so is Avery. And already we have them teeing off and going crazy at each other just over this. I mean, I say going crazy at each other, but Ceice ended up just tweeting out how toxic the whole community has gotten and how little he understands why everyone does this. He ended up tweeting out, "This game is a battle of whoever can be more toxic over a drop spot. Everyone has an ego about everything. This community has non-stop encouraged toxicity, being the go-to when something goes wrong. It's actually so cringe. Just play the game and let the results do the talking." And I kind of have to agree. It's just the same way. Every single time we see a team dropping on another team, we know they're going to start beefing on Twitter. They're going to start talking a whole bunch of smack, and it's not going to stay about Fortnite. It never just stays about Fortnite. We have Avery mentioning his girlfriend. He's going out and partying. He's wasting his money. It just has nothing to do with Fortnite at all, and it always gets way too personal. We saw it last season. Stretch and Zayd are known for doing this all the time. All the beef and drama that went down between them and Bizzle over a drop spot. It's just kind of crazy. There's not enough spots on the map. Somebody has to drop on somebody else. You have to deal with this. And I understand that sometimes it's frustrating when you've got a team that's not doing as well and they're dropping on you. But most people, and I'm sure Ceice in this instance, are just trying to do the best in their tournament. They're not deliberately trying to destroy your chances. Ceice is just trying to perform like everyone else. I don't get why it gets so personal. And again, if you're so much better than them, I know everyone says this, just beat them. Like, I know pros get annoyed when you say that. It's like, oh, it's not the point. If he's gonna lose, you know, every single time he comes here, he should go somewhere else. It's just wasting our loot. But if you're so much better, then just beat them. But either way, whether you beat them or you don't beat them, why does it always go onto Twitter? Why do you need to start drama over it? Just beat each other. It's that simple. Beat them in Fortnite, keep it to Fortnite. And then Avery tweeted out saying the results, and Ceice had to respond again. "You're actually so weird. What's the reason of being toxic over a new season drop spot? There's literally no point. Sad." Like, Ceice doesn't want any part of this. He doesn't hate Avery. He has no beef with Avery. He just wants a drop spot like anyone else. Last bit of beef or drama I want to cover about DreamHack actually revolved around our winners. We had Calc and Miro actually win DreamHack today. They performed really well. They popped off, but things got a bit heated way back in game one. We had Ronaldo and Blake who were both streaming. Ronaldo and Blake both had to cover their stream because they knew they were getting dropped on by EU players. They said they were getting stream sniped by them. I don't get where all this kind of drama went down. I don't know, but either way, covering your drop spot, I fully get that. Unfortunately though, after they'd beaten the EU team, that's when Calc's team arrived because they've been dropping at Craggy. So they moved over from Craggy towards Shark. We couldn't really hear or see what was being said. Well, I mean, we couldn't hear it. We definitely saw it. This is what we saw from Blake's perspective because Blake was streaming with a full face cam, but he had his mic muted. Oh, okay.
Fucking retarded, man.
Okay, there it is. Fair.
Wow, Calc, you are weird, dude.
Okay, never mind. There it is. Blake doesn't have his VOD, so that came from my stream. Sorry, that's why it looks so weird. I was doing a viewing party of all of this, and yeah, it was pretty rough to see. Ronaldo and Blake were already struggling with an EU team that was contesting them, and then Calc and Miro came out of Craggy and cleaned them up, and as you can see, Blake was not happy. Ronaldo ended up rotating and surviving until kind of into endgame, where he ran into Calc and Miro again, so a lot of his viewers, a lot of Ronaldo's viewers and Blake's viewers thought this was very clearly stream sniping. It was targeting, and Ronaldo and Blake were insinuating this. They were making out like he was targeted. So this is when Miro and Calc started getting a whole bunch of death threats, and Miro ended up tweeting this out. And I mean, it is just awful to see. It just, I feel like nothing in life is worth threatening someone with death. Like, don't send death threats to anyone for any reason whatsoever, let alone Fortnite. And even then, Calc and Miro ended up going on to win the tournament. So I don't have the context of whether they were stream sniping. There's no evidence to say they were. This is near their drop spot and it was an easy kill. Maybe they had something, I don't know. But at the same time, I don't know how Calc or Miro would have even known where Blake and Ronaldo were because they were both hiding their screen up until Blake died. So I just don't know. But again, guys, just we need to cut out the toxicity. It's getting way too much at this point. It's Fortnite. You need to chill. Now, you guys know me. I like to finish off on positive notes, so I want to talk a little bit about the OCE teams that have recently formed because we do have Frosty Frenzy starting for OCE tomorrow or today by the time this video comes out. So let's talk about the big teams. You guys keep asking me what's going on. Are the Twins playing with Fresh? And now I know why you're asking this because Fresh ended up tweeting out that he was looking for a team and the Twins ended up responding with eyeballs, which normally would just look like an impression farm. But the Twins have stated that they're not going to be playing this competitive season season with Volks. So they were looking for a third, and they were looking for a third specifically that was okay with them making content instead of scrimming. That's why Twins and Volks split up. There's been some rumors that Volks was being overly rude to the Twins. They think he's washed. None of that. They're both on great terms. They just don't want to play together because Twins want to make more content. They don't want to be scrimming as hard as what they used to, and they know that Volks is a competitive player and he wants to focus on competitive, so they wanted to let him go find a team that works well for him. So Twins were looking for a third that would be okay with them making content, but still wants to play tournaments and do well. So people thought Fresh is perfect. Like, that's the perfect fit, right? That's exactly what Fresh is. Fresh wants to play tournaments. He's very, very good, but he doesn't want to scrim or practice as much. Unfortunately, though, I'm going to have to burst the bubble. It looks like that is not happening. I ended up asking the Twins on stream why they're not playing with Fresh or what happened there, and this was their response.
No, guys, no hate on Fresh. Like, Jesse and I, we have nothing against Fresh. We haven't tried to do anything to annoy him. We don't dislike him. Like, we like Fresh. We want to be friends with him. But, you know, it's his decision. He does what he wants. I'm not trying to create beef or anything. If anything, guys, it's our chats that yap at each other, which creates this so-called beef that you guys think we have, when it's just the two chats yapping at each other. So
I just wanted to include that clip to make sure people weren't spinning this story of, oh, they've got crazy beef. Fresh hates the Twins and Twins hate Fresh, and that's why they're not playing together. Twins want to play with Fresh. For whatever reason, Fresh didn't want to play with the Twins. All I know is now that Fresh is playing with Rel and Carrion, which clearly shows that he's not holding on to beef, because technically I think he had more beef with Carrion than Twins last season anyway, with how all that ended up going down. And now he's playing with him. And he's also playing with Rel, which I'm so excited for. If you don't know, Rel was Fresh's teammate way back in squads. They did so well together. They even played in trios as well the first time. They did insanely well with Jinx. So Fresh and Rel work really well together. Fresh's community loves Rel. He's a nice guy and he has fun, but he's really, really smart and he's good at leading Fresh. And then having Carrion as a fragger will be fantastic. Twins ended up going with Squeaks, which is crazy with this whole like Fresh leaving and Squeaks. It just sounds like I'm talking about two families that just keep switching people. But Squeaks is now going with Twins, which I think will work really, really well as well. They've been scrimming the last few days. They're dropping Misty Meadows and they look pretty strong too, but I wanted to make sure I got it out there because a lot of people are confused. Fresh and Twins unfortunately aren't playing together. Man, I wish they were though. Alright guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please chuck a like on it. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on the whole Fortnite toxicity thing. And if you guys didn't know, I'll be streaming a whole bunch this weekend. I'll be watching all of the OCE, NA East, and NA West Frosty Frenzy tournaments. So if you want to tune in, it's twitch.tv/Aussie Antics. Come have a chat with me. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.